further ado, I would like to turn it over to Dean Chris Moberg.
Thanks, Allison. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to give it a second to make sure everyone can hear me. I'm really excited about today.
Dean Moberg, you're muted, I think. That might have been my fault. I apologize.
Oh, how about now?
Perfect.
Gotcha. That was an amazing first sentence I just gave. I got to redo it now.
And I'm so sorry.
I was just saying welcome, and I'm really excited to do the first of what's going to be 4 of these updates for the College of Business this year. And I was just saying that I was excited to see people that had RSVP'd because it's a great mix of people that I called out, Rebecca and Kevin and Len and a few other people that I recognize that I've either met on campus or in their locations. But it's also fun to meet virtually some new alums of the College of Business or those that are interested in the college. So welcome. We're really excited about today. I want to quickly thank the team. So you've just met Allison. Allison works for our Office of Advancement Alumni Relations. She supports the whole university, but this will be a first-class event. Her slides that she was showing before we started way better than my Dean slides. So I appreciate the help that Allison helped put this together. And then our development and alumni engagement team for the college is here. So wave for those of you that can see Becky Walker and Joe Halowitz. I think they're one or both in the building close by. And so I appreciate their partnership and support too. I don't know if you saw it or not, but happy birthday. Today is Central Michigan University's 131st birthday. So we had a senior leadership team officer meeting this morning at 7:30. And so it was fun for all the senior officers to acknowledge the 131st year of Central Michigan University. It's really fun. And we talked a lot about the impact this university has had in the past and will continue to have in this state and this region. So that was really fun. I wanted to provide a little bit of an overview of this event. Even though we could have been doing these great virtual meetings to meet more people every year before the pandemic, it's amazing how we didn't think about this kind of way to engage or check in with alumni. So during the pandemic, I think I might have been the first dean that had a coffee with the dean, a couple of coffees with the dean, and had pretty good turnout. And then we also celebrated the 50th anniversary of the School of Accountancy in the college a couple of years ago. And that was really fun to have a series of virtual happy hours and a wine tasting and just a chance for accounting grads to get together 3 or 4 times during a semester. And so this is an intentional part of not just the College of Business, but also other deans and units on campus. I hope you pay attention. You'll start seeing other events be popping up throughout the whole academic year, not just the 4 virtual coffees that we're going to do. So I think this is a fun part of our way to add another way to stay in touch with our alums and other friends of the college. So I appreciate you being here and having a chance. And as Allison said, it'd be great if you keep chiming in. I know when we do these meetings in person, it's amazing. My favorite part is watching alums that don't know each other get to know each other. And the connections that are made because of the shared experiences or memories about this place. So please introduce yourselves virtually if you're willing in the chat box. I think I'll also mention that Allison and Becky and Joe are going to be paying attention to the chat. So if you have a question as I go through I'm going to do about a 20-25 minute update about some of the things that we're doing. We're really busy around here, but feel free to chime in with questions as I go. I'm happy to make this a back and forth informal conversation, as Allison mentioned. So I already kind of started on the overview. I'm going to do this brief update. I'm going to walk through a couple of quick university updates, and then I'm going to head into a college business update on overall how a few things are going, and then 3 or 4 brand new things that we've launched or implemented in this last year and a half that we've been working on for 3 or 4 years, but are just these programs are a year or 2 into their launch, and we're really excited about the difference it's making for our students. And then we'll have a chance for as much Q&A as you would like as we keep moving forward. So let me start. As I mentioned, I was going to start with, let me take a quick sip of Central Michigan coffee here. The first thing I wanted to talk about, because I know that when I meet with alums, one of the things they ask about quite a bit is, hey, how's the university doing and how's enrollment going? Because like most universities, especially public universities in the Midwest, it's been a challenge for a lot of different reasons related to population and demographics and a lot of other factors even before the pandemic. And I'm happy to report that we are in the middle of 2 straight years of increased recruiting classes, strictly from the undergraduate level. So last fall of 22, when our freshman class came in and our transfer students, it was higher than the previous year. And I think that was the first time in like 6 or 7 years that it had been higher. And now that we're in week 3 of the semester, we've got pretty final data about how many people landed on our campus this year. And once again, our freshmen and transfer students are both up over last year. And I think the president this morning mentioned that having 2 successive years of growth in enrollment for undergrad and transfer undergrad students, it's the first time that's happened in 12 or 13 years. So we have a lot of momentum. I think you could feel the momentum 2 years ago coming out of the pandemic, but people are optimistic and being honest about what we needed to do better. And you're starting to see some of those improved processes, talented people that were hired. You're starting to see a lot of those things come to fruition when it gets to telling our story better and connecting with prospective students and having them come to campus. The other thing that's positive news is last year and then this year, I'll talk about this year's class, even though it's up over last year's class, because we just had a bunch of students this past year graduate. The number of students that graduated in this last year is a little bit more than the number of new students coming in. So the overall university enrollment went down about 1% more, but that's way lower than what it had been in previous years. So we've kind of caught up, or we're coming back, and now we're coming back to incoming classes of students that are equal to the classes or close to equal to the classes that were here a couple of years ago or 3 or 4 years ago that came in. So I would be shocked if we don't have a flattening of enrollment a year from now, or at least maybe 1 or 2% up in total enrollment at the undergrad level. The other thing I'll mention, I'll get into this a little bit more when I give a college update, but we've had significant enrollment increases for international graduate students on campus, or just graduate students, but many of them are international, and also online adult learners. So I'll mention the adult online learner group. That group is, Betty Kirby. We call it Innovation Online now, but it's to reimagine global campus. And Betty Kirby took over leadership just over a year and a half ago of that group. And it's amazing the amount of progress they've made, not just in increasing the number of students that are seeking degrees as adult learners from us online, but also we're in the middle of building out a lot of non-credit opportunities. So lots of workshops and badging and little shorter bursts of topics that are really important to people that want to upskill in wherever they are in their career. So it's fun to see the university think about learners as a lifelong thing. We're also reaching back, right? I mean, because there's so many students, a lot of our students are coming in with 15 to 30 hours of college credit. So why wouldn't we try to partner with high schools and community colleges to help offer some of those things? You're starting to see a lot more of us engaging and offering classes or partnering on AP programs with K through 12 students, high school students. So we want to engage with students and meet them in K through 12, and then be their partner, one of their learning partners, not just for 4 years on campus, but throughout their whole lifetime. Because I don't know what the world's going to look like in 30 years. I didn't even know what ChatGPT was, I promised, 2 years ago. All I know for sure, and we all know, is there's going to be significant change. And so we're trying to prepare our students for the expectation they're going to have to be constantly learning throughout their whole life. That's going to be a requirement socially and economically, professionally. I also want to talk about our future planning process. I gave a shout out to Kevin. Kevin was actively involved in the first stage of our strategic planning process 3 or 4 years ago. We talked about our 5 strategic pathways, and we did a lot of work on that. And about a year ago, the university transitioned to a formal, finalized strategic planning process for the university. And there have been I think over 60 learning sessions, feedback sessions last 6 months. We had an academic senate meeting yesterday about it. So I just want to let you know that an almost final draft of the strategic plan will be presented to our board of trustees in 2 weeks. So I think you'll start seeing some news pretty soon about all the things that we're doing and launching our new strategic plan. We're pretty excited about that. And it's going to really help us continue to align our resources and our metrics to the things that we're prioritizing in those four strategic initiatives. And I'm really excited too, because I think our 4 initiatives are phrased differently than what you see at traditional academic schools. We're thinking a lot more about outcomes rather than just listing faculty, staff, alumni, stakeholders, and trying to be all things and everybody in the mission statement, and just saying, hey, we're focused on student and alumni success and how well they're doing and how well we're changing our communities. So we're excited about that. The other thing I wanted to mention too, I know that's such a cliche in business or organizational development to say that, people and culture trump strategy, but I'm a big believer in that. I think it doesn't matter how many great ideas you have if you don't have great people that are on the team that believe in what you're doing and also are in a positive work culture and environment. I'm super excited. This started my 5th year here. I really love the senior leadership team I work with in general, but especially on the academic side. So President Davies, believe it or not, it's flown by, has celebrated his 5th anniversary last week. I've been just at my 4th year mark. I'm not sure many of you had a chance to meet or listen to Nancy Matthews speak, our provost, but Provost Matthews has been here just over a year. And I promise I'm not just saying this in this room so that I don't get fired by the provost, but I am super excited about working for her. She's an amazing leader. She listened a lot her first 6 months, but she also has a bias to action. And even during her first 6 months, if there was some practice or policy that was like, wait, do we really need to do it that way? She would immediately look into it and start driving change as soon as she got here. And anytime you change an organization, as many of you probably know, it takes you 6 months or a year to get used to the place, to know the people. I'm a high context background person, so you don't know any of the past history for decision-making processes or the barriers that exist to that organization. So she's gotten through her first year and is doing amazing things. And then the deans really get along well. I don't know how many people, you might hear stories other places. I think in my world of higher ed, when you talk about the academic leadership team, you usually might have a little bit of, disagreement among deans. Our 7 deans, or 8 deans, if you include Dean Irwin from the libraries, we all get along with each other. And I hope I'm not getting in trouble with the advancement team, but we have a group text that goes on, and it's usually just about fun stuff, but also quick things, a question about something one of us is dealing with and getting help and support. And today, after we do a 4-hour workshop from 1 to 5, I'll be heading to happy hour with the deans. So don't get me in trouble, but the deans go to happy hour together. That's how close we are every 4, 5, 6 weeks. And it's a little bit about work and helping each other, but a lot of it is just we enjoy supporting each other. We all see CMU 1 as being one of our leadership standards, and we look for ways to say yes and to support each other. So I think you're going to start seeing even more interdisciplinary things as we launch our new strategic plan, where colleges will continue to work together, launching new programs, centers, initiatives. That's something we're really excited about. So I just wanted to give you a brief update about the university, because so many of you ask about it, but I really do think we're in good shape. The state of the university, I think, is in good shape, and we see lots of positive momentum on many fronts. All right, so let me transition to the college. The college is also doing really well from an enrollment perspective. We have probably decreased about the same amount as the university as far as our number of students. Our percentage decrease last 10 years has been about the same as the university. And so we're starting to see our enrollments level off, and we're really excited about that because our employers who really want to hire our students, they want, 80 finance majors or accounting majors every year instead of the 50 or 60 we have. So the more great students we have, the more we can please our employers who really are fighting for talent themselves at all levels of their organization. But the other thing I wanted to talk to you about briefly is a success story. I mentioned the university has got huge enrollment increases in grad programs. A lot of that's been driven by us and the college, but also the College of Science and Engineering. So I'll just give you an example. We have two big on-campus grad programs. One's a traditional MBA program that has gone to about 90 or 100 students 2 years ago in the fall of 21 to about 130 or 40. So, about 30% growth in that program. And I think it'll go up a little bit more. And that's unusual because the full-time 1 year on-campus MBA programs are being eliminated a lot of places because of the digital revolution. But the tremendous growth we've been experiencing is in our Masters of Information Systems. And one of the big drivers of it, besides the fact that it's an excellent program and covers things like data science and information systems, project management, cybersecurity, which are in high demand, it's a STEM program. And so the federal government a couple of years ago, a lot of our international students, when they come here, the old rule was that when they graduated, they could stay for a year in what's called OPT and work as an intern and try to get some applied experience under their visa to come here to study and hopefully try to find a job in that year so they could stay and get visa sponsorship. Well, for STEM programs, so for science, technology, engineering, and math programs anywhere in the country, if a student, international student, graduates from one of those programs, they recently changed the rule. They can stay here 3 years now. So there's been a huge increase in demand coming out of the pandemic because of that rule. And so, we've seen a lot more from a global market perspective, a lot more students come here. And in fall of 2021, we had a little over 200 students on campus in that Information Systems Master's program. As of this week, after 2 years of huge increases, we have over 850 students. So you can do the math, a 650 student increase over a base of 200, right? So, basically around 300% growth in 2 years. And I can tell you that we had to shut down admissions last fall, this past January, and the semester that just started, because we could be at 1,500, 1,400, but we thought it was the ethical thing to do. It was still crazy growth, but we needed time to hire faculty that were qualified to teach. And because these areas are in high demand in the real world, it's hard to get them, it's harder to recruit those talented people that are qualified to teach for less money in higher ed. And the other part of it too was, and this is why I'm proud of our university, going from having an increase of about 1,000 on-campus grad students the last 2 years, we needed to start increasing programming, increasing staffing support, so that once the students were here, we had more budget, more staff members, more cultural events, more supportive student organizations for those on-campus international students that were here. So we've opened up a new office as a university. There's a staff member. It's kind of their one-stop shop and lounge where they can get any help. We're getting diverse foods on campus. In our college, we hired a brand new full-time staff member to work with the faculty and the chair in IS to support our IS students. And so I think we'll probably see us level off around 850, 900 moving forward. And it's a nice balance with what we have in the rest of the college. We're super excited about these students, but there have been a lot of times in the past just sharing inside information about higher ed where we can't control the rules the government sets. So they could change that OPT from 3 to 1 like that. Plus other universities that don't have their grad program STEM certified can also pretty quickly become STEM certified. So I think there's going to be a lot more competition. So I want to make sure we grow in an efficient way, and that we also have the ability to transition or lower teaching capacity quickly if we go from 850 to 500 over 2 years. So I think we're in great shape when it comes to that. And it's really nice to have a diversity of revenues for a college, but also for the university from these grad students. The other fun thing, it's hard to measure, is just the ability, how it's changing our campus and how we're looking for ways for our US-based undergrad students to interact more with our grad students. And there's some things we do in classes to try to increase so that there's more interaction, so cultural learning can happen from both sides. So I hope I know I went a little bit in the weeds there, but I was just trying to show you some of the things we've been working on to make sure that we handle this growth in the right way, that we have great faculty teaching our students in that program, but also that we're supporting them while they're on campus. A couple of other things I wanted to mention is fun updates, and then I'll close with a few suggestions or asks for how you can get more involved if you want to. I know I've met with some of you, but what I usually say to my friends at other universities, but also alumni as I meet them, I talk about our approach at CMU to business education. And I basically look at it as having four important parts. So one of those is, of course, is always going to be the in-classroom experiences. But it needs to be the right in-classroom experiences. I know many of us, when we went to college, most of our classes, you just sat there and listened to the sage on the stage. It wasn't interactive. You took notes and you took your tests every 3 or 4 weeks. That's not the best way for people to learn, for our students to learn. So I'm really excited about how applied our students, the experiences our students are getting inside the classroom. So if they're a sales student, they're not just learning about steps in the selling process. They are, doing role plays. In fact, we have several sales classes every semester that partner with admissions, and they have a whole night where one of their sales role plays is an actual call to students that have been admitted as high school seniors to the College of Business. So this fall, there'll be several sales classes that are calling families and high school students to answer their questions about CMU. So, not only does it help us with admissions, but it's a great applied learning experience for the students. And I can go on, every one of our departments is doing those kind of applied experiences. But you have to have the right faculty, because it takes more time to plan those kind of projects and cases and events than traditional lecture. The other big thing that I think is always, I think this is, I'm a firm believer this is a strength for the whole university, but one of my team will be sick of me saying this, but I always say that we want our students to develop as leaders and professionals as much outside the classroom as inside the classroom. And so that means, and I think it's a perfect fit for the place we are, or for those students that are traditional students coming to campus and are in our little bubble, right? Our beautiful bubble, either on campus or living a mile from campus. It is really easy for them to be involved and to make a difference. And so we want our students to have positive experiential learning outside the classroom. So I know this is happening every college on campus. It looks a little bit different every college, but as you'll hear in a second, we've doubled down on that and done some things to make sure no student gets left behind. The other thing I'll just mention as an important thing is career and professional development. So we are increasing that and some of the things that we're doing so that students are professionally prepared for job searches, but also professionally prepared when they go to an internship or their first job, about how to work, how to be a team member, how to set good habits, and to start tracking, having strategic planning for their career. And then finally, I know all of us in our organizations are paying even more attention than usual on this, but wellness and culture. So you'll hear in a second how we're trying to make sure as a campus, but also a college, that we talk regularly about wellness and well-being, and supporting our students and our faculty and staff to make sure they're thinking about that balance and trying to be as flexible as possible, even coming out of the pandemic, to support people that might need to work home here or there, or do other things to make sure they protect that balance and that health. So I've seen a big shift, a further increase of that here, and we're really excited. So 2 other quick things I want to mention. I've got 3 or 4 minutes left. I might go over, team. You're going to win your bet that I would go past 12:30. But so I mentioned inside the classroom experience. I think in the 2 biggest things that out of many other, just surviving the pandemic, but the 2 big projects we worked on during my first 3 years here as a collective group that were launched this past fall of 22. One was a curriculum revision. So the core curriculum is something that every major takes, no matter what your major is, you take our core classes. And we had not significantly as a college updated that core curriculum like in 10 years when I got here. So we spent 2.5 years updating it. I know that's not speed is usually implemented faster in the real world, but for curriculum revisions, that's pretty fast or pretty normal. But we wanted to take our time, have live iterations and chances for feedback from alumni, from employers, from boards, and from our faculty and students. There were a lot of changes made, but there were two big things that I think are important. One is we kind of blew up our way to teach quantitative skills. We still had a model that most business schools still have, which is we're teaching calculus and stats, and we didn't have data analytics, business analytics enough in the core curriculum. It was in a lot of our majors, but it wasn't in the core curriculum. So our students still take algebra. They still have to take the intro to stat class, which is really important. But now instead of calculus, the next data class, quant class they take is something called applied data analytics. And it's part of our three-course I-Core cluster of classes. And students go through all 5 steps of the data analysis life cycle. So they identify data, understand what it is, they clean the data, they enter the data, they clean it up, they enter it, they analyze it, they use Tableau and other tools to present it, they make recommendations and strategies based on it. So they're learning in their sophomore year with databases. They're fake databases, but they're real concepts. Our faculty are building databases, so they're getting extra practice at all the different tools like Excel, Tableau, and other tools they use in that class. And we have a junior level class now that's advanced data analytics, and they're actually getting into advanced stuff. They don't become coders, but they're doing Python and R, and they're doing even more advanced uses of data to make decisions as managers or leaders. And the examples are for all majors. And so we're super excited with that. And every time we explained it to young alumni who are starting their careers of all majors or employers, they were really, really excited. Like, this is exactly what we need. In fact, that group presented at the College of Business Executive Advisory Board an example of those 2 analytics classes. And 5 or 6, every one of our board members was like, I wish we had that when I was in school. And what you're describing is what we do every day, from the entry-level jobs to the leadership suite. So that was good validation. I'm not surprised, but good validation that our faculty have created that curriculum that matters. The other thing that I think there are a lot of other business schools that have caught up. You have to prepare your students for the type of math and quantitative reasoning you're going to use in their careers. So I think we've caught up to what other schools are doing, but I'm proud of how we're doing it. The thing that is unique compared to other business schools that we got approved was we added these are all required, but 3 1 credit hour professional development classes. And so these aren't in a particular major, part of the core curriculum. So for example, I'm gonna tell you about one of them. So one brand new class that the freshmen that came here a year ago, so our current returning sophomores and all the freshmen right now that are on campus and transfer students, their first semester here, all of them are required to take Business 100, which is a 3-hour class designed to introduce them to all aspects of business, to help them do career exploration and get a little bit of understanding about how business works from a process point of view, and how all the departments and majors fit in. But they also are required to take a 1-hour Business 102 class. And this class is designed to do a lot of things. So first of all, students don't know. I don't know about any of you or your kids or grandkids. They don't know when they're 18, when they arrive on campus, for sure what they want to do. It's completely normal. It's what your first 2 years of college are supposed to help explore and figure that out. Some do, but a majority don't. And so instead of just letting them float around, we don't want them to be left behind. They do strengths finders the very first part of the semester. They have faculty members and students from all the different majors come in during the semester. So they do exploration of careers and majors during the very first semester they're here. We're not going to get it perfect, but we're going to increase the number of students by the time they're at end of sophomore year that have selected a major or minor or other areas to study that are a good fit. Even if that means they realize business isn't for them and they transfer outside the college, that's a win, is helping them figure it out, right? They don't know, but we're here to help them figure it out. And they can't fall through the cracks because they have to take this class right away. But they also do exploration of campus. So I mentioned before, experiential learning really matters. Well, guess what? We make them near the middle of the semester map out a plan for all 4 years. So every business school in the country has an academic advising office and works with students on mapping out their 4 years of classes based on their major, right? Everybody does that. But we actually also make our students think about their 4 year experience. And when they graduate in 4 years, yes or no, do you want to participate in study abroad? Yes or no, do you want to do an internship? By the way, the answer to that is yes. We just had, without requiring internships in most of the college, our latest group of seniors, 75% of them participated in an internship, almost all of them paying internships, 99%. And so we say to them, this isn't written in stone, but think about it. What do you want to do is from a leadership perspective, a student org perspective, study away, study abroad, internships, mentoring. We make them think about it very broadly and map it out as an assignment that they have to do. The great part about that is when they take the sophomore class, it's 1 hour, we make them pull it back up and update it. Because of course, things are going to change. They will have tried new things. So thinking about what their experience is going to be outside the classroom, we're trying to be much more intentional with our students now so that, again, some of our students, like I always say, my son's not listening, I know. So my son's one of my North Stars on this is that he was a smart kid, graduated with a 3.5 GPA, but he never went to anything, volunteered anything, did any student orgs. So it's making people like my son take their medicine to kind of say, hey, you should make them understand they should be thinking about this. Not tell them what to do, but that they should be thinking about it. So it's really exciting to do that. I think that class also does make sure that they have a good resume, that with no terrible things in it, that they have a professional LinkedIn. So it's a little bit of introduction to career in that. And then also a lot of transition to college, making sure they know about resources, time management. There's a whole week devoted to well-being, the 5 or 6 components of well-being. We show them a model and we show them apps and we ask them to think about that through their career. So it's just a lot of stuff happens in that class, but it's only groups of 20 or 25. And by the way, not only is there a faculty member teaching it, we pay for a student peer mentor. So these students are going to have somebody who's a current College of Business, sophomore, junior, senior, who's already been here at least 1 year, who's a real resource for them. And they're getting to meet 15 or 20 other students that they're likely to go through 4 years together. So we're super excited about these classes. Now those freshmen are taking the second class, and we're even offering the third one. The second one's a lot more about diversity, leadership, advanced teamwork. And then the third one is a little bit it's about half job search and mock interviews and really how to do a job, how to negotiate an offer, how to evaluate an offer. But half that class is for preparing students for life after college, because we hear from them and also many of you. That's one thing we do a terrible job at in universities is, and you'd be surprised how many students don't know what to look for benefits and healthcare and a job thing, or think about personal finance issues. So, and how to manage their career, how to build a network. And so we're doing a lot of that stuff to get their first 10 years off the ground. So those classes are really unique. And we're super excited about them. And we hope to see in 4 years or 3 years as these freshmen graduate, we'll have even more student org participation, more jobs at commencement, or 6 months after, quicker graduation rates, higher retention rates, more satisfaction with the university, more engagement on campus, because those things matter. It's the right thing to do for the students, but it also is gonna, it's gonna help better prepare them for life after college, or the first 4 years of college. I was gonna mention this at the end, but I wanna make sure I don't forget. The proof's in the pudding, though. For us as a College of Business, this last year, we had 95% of our students 6 months after graduation, either employed somehow, in grad school, start their own business, or doing military or social service, like Peace Corps kind of stuff. So 95%, the best business schools are in the 90 to 95% range. So I'm happy that we're in that range. The other thing that's fun is the average starting salary for the business students was $58,000, which last time I saw the national data on this, business students nationally were in the low 50s. So I think we're about 4, 5, 6,000 ahead of this last year, the national average for starting salaries. And I already mentioned the 75% internship. So our students are having positive outcomes, and they're having, and I know their parents are happy, but I know they're happy too with what we're doing to prepare them. The final thing, and Allison, now I'm 7 minutes over, but it's okay. I want to make sure we share there's so many things I could talk about what our team is doing, but I have one more that is really unique. Can you pull up our hub slides, Allison? So what Allison's going to show you is we're getting ready to bring back after 3 years. If you got this email about this coffee with the dean or lunch with the dean, conversation with the dean, in about 2 or 3 weeks, you'll get an email with a digital link to our college update. We're going to go back to releasing this every fall. So you'll be able to read more about the curriculum if you're interested, because that's one of the articles. But we are also talking about the launch of the hub, which is the other big thing we worked on my first few years here, that launched a year ago, so fall of 22. So on the left of the screen, you're seeing Lori Driesnack, who is our Associate Director of Student Experience and runs our Business Residential College. And in the second picture on the right, the bottom picture on the right, is Dr. Amy McGinnis, and she is our director of the hub, but also runs our leadership development programs and is director of student experience. So I guess I should explain what this is. So I mentioned before, every college of business is going to have an academic advising office and academic advisors. Some colleges of business have their own career office too, where they'll have a couple of career coaches, maybe an employer relations person in the college that partners with what the university is doing. This hub is official. It's called the hub because it's the real title is too long, but it's the Office of Student Engagement and Professional Development. Okay, and so I mentioned before, we want to get intentional with our students about half their experience is what they do outside of the classroom, right? And so and we're making them think about it and do things. And we already offer in every department we have, in centers, entrepreneurship information, we already offer so many competitions, so many workshops, so many conferences. Almost every week during the school year, there's different ways for students to get involved in every one of our majors, but also in general. We wanted to double down on that, though. I think it's one of our strengths, and we want to get even better. So this Office of Student Engagement and Professional Development is unique because its sole focus is, well, it's got multiple goals, but it focuses on experiential learning. They partner with us on curriculum. So those 3 classes, they partner with the dean's office and the faculty on how do we keep those 3 professional development classes up to date and make sure it's in alignment with all the cool things the hub's doing. We launched 2 leadership development programs this year. We launched the Queller Scholars for first gen students. So there's 14 leadership scholars that Amy is their faculty advisor for. And that group just started this semester, and we hope to add more leadership development programs, but that's run out of the hub. They do all kinds of professional development and career help. So in partnership with Central Career Services, they're doing resume checks, they're doing peer mentoring. We host companies all the time in the building. We have a career coach that comes from Central office all the time. They execute experiential learning plans. So they have 4 or 5 events they do. They run our ethics conference. They run a case competition conference. But they're also a resource for the student organizations and other faculty that want to do events. They help them put on a first class event. They are the focal point for our community service efforts. So today's Wednesday, I think. So Friday, we have a really cool event here on campus where we're partnering with Dow on a day of service. So we're starting at Island Park, and we'll be kicking it off. And there'll be 2 groups of faculty, staff, and students working with about 50 Dow employees in the morning and the afternoon on cleanup projects around town. So we're really excited. But the hub is the place that's the partner that's helping organize that with the university and Dow. They oversee our student organizations and make sure they meet their goals. They help. So Lori is our lead recruiter. Anytime we have an event, there's a ton of events to help recruit students. Lori leads it and helps make it fun and personalized. We don't want a student to visit the college and not meet with a faculty member and a current student. The current students especially are the best things about selling our place. And then also we have our business residential college that Lori manages. I think we have 25 students in that living learning community, living in the same dorm hallway and doing all kinds of extra programming this first year. And then even though the program ends in a first year, most of those 25 or 30 students, when they graduate as seniors, they'll be the ones that are the presidents of organizations or making a difference on campus. So this office and all the things that they do, it's a resource center. It's got intentional strategy. It's unique. You don't see a lot of other business schools or universities doing that. There are some, but I think we're out front on this. And I think this is something that I think the whole university, I think we already do it in all the other colleges, but I think this could be a part of our strategy as a university to say, hey, every student that comes here, no matter what the major is, they're going to be required to do some of these immersive experiences or community service learning, and those kind of things. So I think that was it. Okay, so I just want to end with our Q&A. We still have about 20 minutes for that. So sorry I went a little bit over, but I like to explain all the details. It's one of my strengths and weaknesses, I think. I just want to mention that we're really excited. Things are looking great for the university and the college. We're really excited about the curriculum, and we still have these hubs of activity in logistics, entrepreneurship, information systems, finance, that if you follow us on social media, you're seeing student-focused stories all the time on those platforms about what we're doing here. I just wanted to end before we do Q&A by saying you'll hopefully getting a link to the update, the digital updates. I hope you're excited about reading through that. I really, when I meet with alums, I met 3 or 4 new alums at the football game Saturday, and they said, how can I help? I always start with engagement. Speak to our students. You don't have to be on campus, come to campus, but anytime during the year, if you want to be connected to a certain department, reach out to me or someone else in the college, and we will connect you with a faculty member. We can get you to virtually join classes and make a difference. Be a judge or mentor for our events. A lot of these events we do, there's mentors that help the students, especially in new venture and entrepreneurship, but other ways. We need judges all the time. We have a brand new Wall Street Journal Club that started before the pandemic, but every Monday and Wednesday during the year from 8 to 9 in the morning, either virtually or in person, they're hosting a leader. It tends to be more finance and accounting professionals, but if you're someone that's risen to a C-level and want to come do a leader or mid-manager, whatever it is, if you want to come do a leadership discussion, a journey discussion, and answer questions. I don't know about any of you. I may be a dean now, but I wasn't up at 8 o'clock on Mondays and Wednesdays when I was a college student. And so you see these college students, 15, 20, 25 of them logging in at 8 in the morning to meet these alumni and leaders Mondays and Wednesdays during the school year. Hey, we're going to be coming to some of your towns. See, I might reach out, somebody in the team might reach out and say, hey, we got 15 students coming. Would you mind hosting us? They want to see this city. They want to see themselves in these companies. Will you host us at your company? Will you help us get in with internships, processes, and jobs? There's just a lot of ways. We have advisory boards in most of our departments. There are a lot of ways to get involved. I know we're going to follow up with an email when we're done today. Just ask us and we will work hard to get you involved. And if we offer too many things, then just tell us to slow down. But we would really like you to get engaged because we know firsthand that students learn a lot, but also gain confidence when they are on the road or on campus and they meet other Chippewas that come from the state of Michigan, mostly like them, and they can see that that journey is possible for them too. So it's pretty exciting to get you involved with our students. Oh, somebody was talking about an intern this summer from CMU. So hopefully that intern's will earn a job offer. Because we try to teach them about how to strategize for that. So, okay, that is officially it. I'll get yelled at by the team later for going over on time. I see Len laughing. He's not surprised. Okay, so I'm gonna be quiet now and either just turn off your Allison, do they have the ability to turn their mic off individually?
They should. If not, I can help.
Yeah.
But I did want to say there was a question in the chat about what is CVA doing to prepare students for remote work?
That's a great question. Did that come from Kevin Goddard? Because he always asks me
Um,
about that. It's a really
that comes
important
from
thing.
Gina
Oh, hi,
Friedland.
Gina. So it's a really good question. So I'll give us a little bit of credit because even before the pandemic, some digital meetings were more common. In fact, my funny story is I got my job at a previous institution in fall of '99, and I never interviewed for a job until I interviewed for this job 20 years later. And it was really weird for me as an experienced professional to have to do Zoom calls. This is before the pandemic. I was freaking out about doing Zoom calls, Zoom interviews, and room rating and making sure I don't have anything dumb behind me. That was really stressful for me. So you can imagine for students how that is. So we had already been doing some role plays that were virtual, but also in our communications class, even if the students were in the same building, they were doing some presentations virtually versus in person. And we've continued to do that. But the other part of that, Gina, is, I've heard from a lot of you that, a lot of people that getting to know the culture, getting to know the people, if you get hired right out of college and you're hybrid or remote, it's just a different transition to the work world and has some positives, but a lot of negatives when it comes to relationship development, the little things you learn. So it is a part of our 302 class, which is that other 1 hour class. So that's one of the things we talk about in that junior class that we just added about preparing for all kinds of different ways to engage in a job, whether it's remote, hybrid, or in person. So our current students, I think, have lived it. But as our sophomores and freshmen we have now moved through 4 years, by the time they graduate, they will have lived it in middle school, high school, but also be given tips and strategies for navigating these multiple career paths or entryways that are entry modes that are possible. I see Steve Korb mentioned his daughter's a junior here. I don't know if she transferred or not, but he's taking those 3 core. Oh, taking the I-Core. So hopefully it's a lot of team meetings. And so I'm happy to see its positive feedback so far. It's a lot of work, but it's trying to mimic what you would do when you're in your job on those kind of projects. Any other questions? Kevin, you got a question for me? It's good to see you, buddy. Didn't mean to call you out, but I was wondering.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you. Wasn't
Yeah.
prepared, but appreciate the follow-up, especially how we can support you best, and looking forward to that email or however the correspondence is going to be, so we can plug in specific areas. So thank
That's
you.
great. I appreciate it. Hope all's well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a question or maybe a little bit more of a comment, but I was, a calc student and had that math. And then when I got into the real world, they gave me a pivot table and said, tell me what this data means, right? And I feel like that is something that a lot of universities, we have a lot of new hires that are just recent graduates from, and by the way, we're in renewable energy, right? So energy waste reduction, renewable energy. But I give students or incoming staff data and say, tell me what this means to you, right? And they just don't have the critical thinking skills, and they don't understand pivot tables, and they don't know how to make that data tell a story. So I'm very, very excited that you are having them take a data analytics course. And I would be interested in seeing how they go into the work world versus how we came into the work world, right?
Yeah.
And so my question, or maybe it's not a question, or maybe just a comment, but like,
Sure.
How can we help make that practical so that when they're taking those classes and they're taking that data analytics class, like, can we give them case studies where they take data and they have to make sense of it, or are they doing that as part of it? But I am super excited about that.
Well, so I appreciate it. my previous university, we floated it during a curriculum revision. And it was just it's really hard to drop a calculus class, especially when a math department depends upon it so much, because we're teaching the advanced analytics class ourselves. But we had a few people that just said, why are you trying to make your degree easier? Just because students don't like calc or it's hard. And we said, we're not, it's still going to be rigorous. We're just making it more relevant, to your point. And I appreciate you being another voice in support. So I'll be interested to see what Steve's daughter thinks when she's done with it. But we don't want students to be afraid of it. We've heard from all employers, not just in finance, about Excel for 4 or 5 years. They're getting that in a little bit of Excel in a Business 100 class. They're getting a little bit of Excel in the Intro to IS class, so that they're ready when they get into this sophomore class, sophomore early junior year class, that it's not the first time they've seen Excel, and they're using that. And then, as I said before, Python and R when they're juniors. So to answer your offer, first of all, if you're willing to, you want to see the kind of, we can get you a syllabus, we can get you some of the cases they're doing. But as the 4 or 5 faculty that worked on these classes, spent about 1.5 years working on them, they have built 5 mini projects. The other cool thing about this 3-course core that Steve mentioned, where the analytics class is it's team-based. So we want to help develop our students' team skills. And so from day one, they're on a team. They're doing 5 mini projects throughout the semester. 4 of the 5 are interdisciplinary. So they are marketing and operations, marketing and logistics, and they're using a data set. So they're basically doing 5 mini projects, but I'm happy to share, send me an email follow-up. I'm happy to share some information, because we're always looking for alumni and to give us feedback about how relevant the stuff is that we're doing. And then the junior class, there's an ice cream simulation they do. So they're trying to predict ice cream flavors with like 80 different variables, like weather and all kinds of things. And so we usually frame it around a bicycle shop or ice cream, so that at least the product isn't a widget and it's something exciting. I don't know if any of you guys had widgets for your examples when you were in school, but I know I did. Real fast, I don't know if anybody has their hand raised, but real fast, one of the things that the provost really believes in, and I think you're going to see it, but and all the other deans, but when I talk about this approach to education, it's they used to be called soft skills. We're trying to call them transferable and power skills, right? But there's such an alignment with every year, all these college employers that recruit college students are asked what skills matter. And every year, yeah, technical skills are in the top 10, but everything else are these power transferable skills: comfort with ambiguity, problem solving, taking initiative, communication skills. These are the things, being a good team member, having the ability to be a leader. These are what companies are looking for. But these are the things I mentioned in the beginning about how there's going to be ambiguity, and change is going to be constant in our personal and professional lives. And the rate of change is just going to accelerate. Moore's law is a real thing. So those skills are why we're revamping our gen ed here, and we're gonna double down on gen ed here, because what a great way to become a critical thinker and be able to debate civilly, or talk about topics, or analyze things. Then with the gen ed education, then when they're in their college, they're practicing those things with some of these classes that are using cases and stuff. So we're trying to prepare them for change and for being able to adapt. Because they have practice at these power skills, these transferable skills that aren't related to just one major. So I'm excited that the whole university believes in it too. And you're going to see an increased emphasis in that. We got 3 or 4 more minutes. I'm looking for hands up. I see your comments here, and I'll read through them later, but I see a comment from Gina about Excel in grad school. I don't know about how many of you remember Lotus 1-2-3, but when I was an undergrad in the 80s, I had an entire 3-credit-hour class to Lotus 1-2-3, and it went away like 5 years later, along with WordPerfect, never to be seen again. So, anything else real fast? Well, listen, I appreciate how many people took an hour out of your day to join us for the update. I want to thank the team again for putting it together. You'll be hearing, I don't know if, we'll just put it in the email. We had a slide prepared for the next 3 dates. In the next 3 dates, we have 1 this semester and 2 in the spring. I'm going to be joined by my colleagues. And so you want to hear more about our office, our hub, I'm going to have Amy McGinnis join us. We're going to do a deep dive. I didn't get a chance to talk about finance today. So Dr. Brad Taylor, who you'll read about in the college update, he received a professorship recently, but he's doing amazing things with students outside the classroom. So you hear about finance and experiential learning. And then the second meeting in the spring will be Julie Messing, who's our director of our Isabella Bank Institute for Entrepreneurship. And so I'll just do a brief introduction and she'll give a present. All 3 of them, I won't talk as much. Hopefully I'll introduce them and then they will talk about their areas and then be able to answer questions about some of these things we're proud of. Thanks, Len. I appreciate it. Be in touch soon. There's my email address. Oh yeah, I wanted to just mention, I know most of you are probably following us, but that QR code, if you want to take a picture of it, well, again, we'll send that with a follow-up thank you. But that QR code will take you to a web page that it has instructions for to follow us on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. So, and even TikTok, I think. So.
Yes, as Dean Moberg mentioned, I will send a follow-up email this afternoon. We'll include a survey if you wouldn't mind taking a couple of minutes to complete that. It just helps us moving forward with these campus conversations. And then the link to the recording will go to all the registrants from today. And then I will include his slides that he provided for us. That will include his information for contacting and also our upcoming campus conversations.
And that recording, you'll edit out the announcement about the deans going to happy hour today, right?
Sure.
I'm just kidding. We're real people too. Yeah. So, all right,
gotta
everyone.
Work on my editing skills.
Fire up forever. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the week.